her butt tonight, you think about that. You take every bit of your energy, every fiber in your bone, and you take it and you beat the piss out of them. I'm talking about beat the piss out of them. Let's go whip their ass. Let's go.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you are with us. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? I hope that you love the Coach Prost. Let's go with that ass. Let's go with that ass. Now, regardless of the fact, if LSU and Arkansas play this Saturday, Coach Prost, we appreciate it. LSU, it's time to go with that ass. It is time for us to stand up and go whip some ass. I'm tired of getting our butt beat. But we got to make sure we have a game first before any of that happens, and we'll be talking about that tonight. We got a good show in store for you. The LSU-Arkansas game, is it in jeopardy? What are we hearing? I hope that it's going to happen. I think Arkansas, well, I don't think. I'm hearing that Arkansas is getting really close to that 53 number. Hopefully, LSU and Arkansas will play this Saturday. Myles Brennan returning to practice. Is he done for the season? Is he not? What impact would he have if he's able to come back? I do believe he will be done for the season. But I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant on that, a little bit of a rant on this whole Myles Brennan situation because I think it's Rudy Poo. So you want to stay in tune for that as well. Also, my good friend and the newest member of the guesting of the show, Mr. Carter, is going to be joining us. I know a lot of you already know the man who does so well. We're going to have Carter on with us. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure my screen's not freezing. But anyway, Carter Bryant is going to be joining the show around 7:30. He's going to be joining us in stream. We'll be looking forward to that as always. Also, we will take your calls at 225-435-9387. That's 225-435-9387 if you want to call in. We do have some action tonight. We have the NBA draft. I hope that the New Orleans Pelicans draft Skylar Mays out of LSU. Doubtful that they will because that's just a New Orleans thing. They don't draft LSU guys. But we will see. Getting to some of the comments, Mr. Dylan Landry, as always, says, let's go. Danny Krantz says, let's go. Blake, what's up, Danny? David says, what's his story on Arkansas and COVID? Haven't heard or seen anything about it being postponed, but from your earlier post, we will talk about that, David. Let's get it, says Stephen Miller. Now, he is a big fan of Coach Prost. All that ridicule you took. Now let's go beat their ass. I did that for my good friend, Mr. Stephen Miller. Danny says, I almost beat Stephen in this time. He's the man. Still undefeated. Yes, he is still undefeated. I think maybe once our good friend Dylan did not comment first, but it comes hella high water when he doesn't. Steven says, every ounce of the fiber in your bone, like Coach Prost. Danny says, go get it, Coach. Let's kick their ass. Hashtag Ruffino's rant, says Danny as well. Yeah, we're going to get into a Ruffino's rant. But before we get to that, guys, we got to pay the bills around this thing for us to keep functioning around this mother. And none better, and I talked to my good friend Trey Varnado today, big LSU fan, over at GM Varnado & Sons. GM Varnado & Sons has faithfully been serving your Denham Springs and Baton Rouge area for over 62 years. With their highly trained technicians, there's absolutely nothing that they can't do. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, truck repair, routine maintenance, tire sales, tire rotations. No job is too big and or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard, Denham Springs, Louisiana. And if that car is just breaking down a little too much, and not even our good friends at GM can fix that thing for you, go see our good friend, Mr. Woody Clark, over at Robinson's Brothers Robertson Brothers Ford Lincoln in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hashtag ask for Woody. My man's out there slinging again. The number one Ford salesman in all the state of Louisiana. 225-603-5432. That's 225-603-5432. Go see all of their units and inventory at RobinsonBrothersFord.com. That's RobinsonBrothersFord.com. Hashtag ask for Woody. Okay, let's get started here. I know a lot of people have asked in reference to this, or in reference to what I'm hearing around the LSU and Arkansas game. As of right now, the game is scheduled to be played. Not once did I say, and I probably should have worded it a little different. Now, I deleted the first post because everybody was messaging me, oh my God, the game's canceled. So I just figured that everyone was taking my words and misconstruing them, and on Twitter, you don't get the edit button. We could do some fleeting or tweeting or whatever that's called now that you got the Twitter stories, but you don't have an edit button. So I took a step back and said exactly what I was hearing. The University of Arkansas had some COVID cases last week with their head coach and Sam Pittman, and now they're getting some more positive cases this week, says Hunter Yurchek and head coach Sam Pittman. Now, Sam Pittman this morning did say that they have an adequate amount of players to play this game against LSU. However, from what I'm hearing around Arkansas is that it's not the positive cases of COVID-19, but it's the contact tracing. So if this comes about and if LSU and Arkansas aren't playing, that would be the third game that LSU would have to have postponed or canceled this season. However, so today is the 18th of November. I'm going to keep all the faith that this game gets played because I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, if I would be able to take a day or take another weekend, not another day, but take another weekend without LSU football. I can't do it. What the Rudy Poo is going on here? Sitting at home every weekend, everybody else playing football. I'm not saying anything negative about COVID-19 and the pandemic and all that. That's not what I'm saying. I just really, really wish that we could have LSU football. I'm tired of it, y'all. I'm tired of it. I can't take it anymore. Myles Agnew says on Facebook Live, Gilbert will have over 100 this weekend. Book it. Yeah, I hope that he does, and I hope that we play. Now, I think that Arkansas, from what I also understand, will do everything that they can to play. I'm not going to say that they're going to break any rules or do anything like that, but it would seem as if that they're going to do every single thing that they can do to play. Which is a really, really good scenario if you're having this go on. I think if they had 54 players, even if they had 53 players, they're going to run everybody out there. Now, I did hear that Arkansas did have some key players that would be out for this game if it were being played. Some people had whispered that it could possibly be Felipe Franks, the quarterback, one-time LSU commit. I cannot confirm or deny that, but that would be interesting. You know, Vegas never really gets it wrong. I mean, they're in the business of making money. Monday, you had Arkansas, who was favored by 1.5, and if I'm not mistaken, the line has gone up to +3. It's a big swing. A very, very, very big swing in a day and a half. So what do they know that we do not? I think Monday they started hearing that kids were getting COVID-19, and then the line continued to go up as the new batch of testing happened. And you see what's going on. Marvin Mackey says, who got COVID, Razorback team or LSU? LSU is not the team this time. Arkansas is the team that has the COVID-19 issues. And not so much that they have players testing positive, more so on the fact of the contact tracing, which is unfortunate. Marvin says, I can take it. I I can't take. I don't even watch if LSU don't play. Man, I don't want to either. Blake McGraw says, I took that plus 1.5 3 days ago on the betting odds. But that's a lot of money coming in for LSU, who's been off. Starting Saturday, it would be 3 weeks since they've played a game. Now, I understand that it's an early kickoff, and LSU always doesn't come out the best on these early kickoffs. But hell, you've been on 3 weeks. You hadn't played a game in 3 weeks. I expect you to come out and ready to play. I expect you to come out with some fire, with some hunger in your gut. Because if you don't, we got an issue. We have a serious issue if LSU comes out flat. But I don't think they will. Stephen Miller says 5-point swing in the spread since Sunday morning. Guys, that's huge. That is huge. When LSU was supposed to play Alabama and people started finding out that all these players could possibly miss because of COVID, it went from a 21-point spread to a 28 in over a night. That's humongous. Absolutely huge. Danny asked, was that the 3:30 CBS game? No, it's an 11 o'clock game, Danny. I don't know if CBS is going to have LSU on for a while. It's not the days of old when LSU and Arkansas would be playing on a Friday of the week of Thanksgiving for probably the ugliest trophy, in my opinion, in all of college football, the Golden Boot. And I know that LSU plays for it, but guys, that thing's ugly. It's not even ugly. It's fugly. It's UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. Ugly. And yes, I remember that little chant because of the cheerleaders at my peewee and high school football games. UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. You play football long enough, you gonna remember them chants. You gonna remember them cheerleader chants. California oranges, Texas cactus. We think your team needs a little practice. Especially when your stadium's so small and they're screaming it right behind your ear. Stanton Pendarvis says, hope all is well, Blake. I hope all is well with you, good sir. Steven says, Blake McGraw, hope you hammered the overs tonight. Yeah, what we got going on in the Maction? I saw that we had like a triple fumble. One team had possession, the other team got possession, then the team got possession back. The Maction's going to Maction, y'all. Let's see. David says, need to make adjustments with contract tracing. Should allow test out as if allowed to test out, as if had a positive test with 3 successful negative tests. That's what they let Saban do. Marvin Mackey says straight up, fired up, hitting everything moving. I hope that they do, and I hope that they are. Man, I wouldn't mind if LSU came out. I don't want them to get penalties, but man, getting some pushing matches. Make this game feisty, dog. Show some energy. That's all I'm saying, man. I would not mind if LSU started getting a little bit scrappy. Hell, they need to. Stephen Miller says, touchdown Broncos, Western Michigan, 28 unanswered points. In the blink of an eye, 28-14. Man, you can't sit down for a second. In the Maction. Danny says, my nose got Clemson at the same time, so I'll have something to watch. Hey, Danny, I saw my good friend TJ Pettinger from Double Fries No Slaw head on Kirk Herbstreit talking about the Noles. I also saw that Chubba Purdy is going to be out for the season with the collarbone. That stinks. God, that kid's pretty good. That stinks he's out for the season. Hopefully he can come back and come back and just really do good next season because he's going to be a star for the Noles. Mark LaGrange says they're spreading it through too much swine contact. Maybe. I just want them to play. I just seriously want them to play. Don't care what it looks like. I'm just really feeding for some LSU athletics. Hell, thank God we got basketball coming up this upcoming Wednesday. And by the way, there were some breaking news about an hour or two before we came on the show that Sharif O'Neal, the son of Shaquille O'Neal, has been cleared and eligible to play. So that's some big news. That is some really, really, really big news. Jennifer Smith Harmon, what's going on, ma'am? She says, Blake Ruffino, your top 4 right now, not what you think at the end of the season, but today. Okay. My top 4 would be Alabama number 1, Ohio State. No. Alabama number 1, Notre Dame number 2, Ohio State number 3, Clemson number 4. Possibly. I would put Texas A&M 5 because they did beat Florida, and then I would put Florida 6th. So I'll give you my top 6. So that is Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson. No, not Clemson. I should have wrote this down. What did I say? Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson. Look, I really, really, really like Notre Dame up front. I don't like Notre Dame really all that much, but they're nasty up front. They pushed Clemson around all 4 quarters of that game. Guys, they ran for over 200 yards against Clemson. You don't just do that unless you got horses up front. John Adams says beach volleyball starting soon. Yeah, I like me some beach volleyball. Don't watch it a lot, but if it's an LSU athletic, I probably will watch it if LSU's football team isn't able to play. Danny says, yeah, Chubba is the future. Really sucks he's out for the year. Hopefully J-Trav can stay healthy to finish the year. Let's hope. Let's hope so. Stephen Miller says the ugliest trophy in the damn pig that Indiana plays for against Michigan State, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly too. Craig Granger says, how y'all living? We're doing good, Craig. We're doing good, sir. Glad you could join us. Glad you could join us. He says, flock up. Hell yeah, flock up. Craig, let me say this, and I don't know if you missed it in the beginning. I really, really, really hope that in the second, because I have a lot of people asking me this, how confident I believe that Arkansas will play versus LSU because of the COVID stuff that's going on. I really feel it's 50-50 at this current moment. I don't feel confident about it. But listen, let me tell you this. And the reason I say it could be in jeopardy and there's a good possibility, anytime you talk about 50-50 of a game being played, you always lean on the side of caution that there's a damn good chance. A really damn good chance. Because, guys, if there wasn't anything going on, we wouldn't really be talking about it. We'd be talking about the game. Now, we're going to continue to talk about it as if the game's going on, but I don't think it's fair to all you Syrians, all you LSU fans, to tell you, oh, hey, guys, we're going to play. Huh? They keep having people test positive for the Rona. So I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that at all. Let's see. David says, sorry, David, I missed your comment there. He said, would love to see Bama, Florida, Notre Dame, and Clemson in the college football playoff. Well, the problem with that is that you would be leaving Ohio State out. And Ohio State's one of, if not one of the better teams in college football. I don't see you keeping out Ohio State if they remain unbeaten. I just can't see it. There's no way. They're not going to allow that to happen. Bad news about Verge, but that's for another day. I ain't talking about that right now. I ain't talking about that right now. Y'all trying to get me in some trouble. Y'all chill out with that, dog. John trying to get me in trouble. Yeah, bruh, says Craig Granger. Stephen Miller says, Ed just said the Curry was the only running back that took reps last week. Yeah, he was. And you know what's even crazier, Stephen, is then when the other running backs came back, Curry put out, he said something about, hey, it's God's plan. God's plan. When people start saying stuff like that and you start seeing stuff like that, man. Craig says, raise your eyes to Zion. Hell yeah. Michael Ray, what's up, man? He said, yo, what up? Chat, Gator, go Tigers. What's up, man? What's up? Danny says, who do you think Carolina will go after? I don't think they'll go after Freeze. He'd be great there. Yeah, I know that Bill King and a lot of people have talked about, which I went on with Bill King this morning. Go check that interview out on RU Series Sports Network. But I don't think that the SEC is going to allow him in. That's just me, Danny. I would almost assume that if Jim Harbaugh's let go at Michigan, that Michigan could pay the money to go get him. I think they do it, and I think that they wouldn't bat an eye. But Danny, back to your question, I don't know that. And for people talking about Joe Brady, all you LSU fans that are watching it and watching this now, I don't think Joe Brady's coming back. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think that's going to happen. He doesn't like recruiting. He hates it, actually. Coastal Carolina coach says Stephen Miller would be a great fit also at USC. USC light. Yep. Jennifer says about COVID, state of Ohio has curfew for the next 3 weeks. If they don't work, they plan to shut down the state. So Ohio State season would be dead. Yeah, but yeah, they could. That's something to monitor for sure. Oh my goodness gracious. It's Colin Thibodeau. Ohio State is only playing 6 or 7 games as of now. Best team or not, do they truly deserve a college football spot? Hell yeah. I mean, they're one of the better teams. Hey, let me ask you this. Do you trust Texas A&M to beat, if it were a neutral field, do you trust Texas A&M to beat Ohio State? I don't care about the games that they played, really. I care about getting the best teams in. That's all that I care about. You get the best teams in. But that's me. That is me. I think Ohio State's going to lose in the playoffs again, but regardless, they're still one of the top 4 teams until they get beat. John Adams says, Blake, how about an AYS visor? I could do that like I'm Kirby Smart. We can get in that. See, my hat's getting a little old here. I need to go get some. I need to do some more stuff. I need to give me some more stuff. Mark LeGrange says, did you see Tre'Davious White get bumped out of defending that last second play in Bill's game? Yeah, I sure did. I have no idea who this is. Okay. Well, you're on the line with Blake Ruffino and Are You Serious Sports. You got 4 minutes. Who do we have the pleasure of talking to tonight? Okay. Well, don't know who that was. Whoever that was that just called in, you can't call back. Sorry we missed your call there. Michael Ray says, yo, Blake, what do you think about the QB room? Look like fall camp 2021. Let's talk about that right quick. That's a good question because I wanted to get on this little rant about Myles Brennan. Hold on, we got a phone call. All right, you on the line with Blake Ruffino and Are You Serious Sports? It looks like we got Colin Thibodeau. Thibodeau, you got 3 minutes. What's happening, dog?
Hold on, we got a phone call.
Hey, all right. Good. I get you.
Hey, turn it. Hey, turn the stream down in the background. Turn the stream down back in the background. Turn it down.
Oh, let me get to. All right. So my thing with Ohio State is what they've had one game postponed already so far.
Who? Ohio State?
Yeah.
Yeah, against Maryland. Yep.
Yeah. So chances are they aren't going to make up that game. I don't think they will. I don't know.
No, they can't make up that game.
Then, so you're short. So now you're playing a 6-game schedule. and these other guys have played at least 8 to 10 games, probably more, depending on championship games. I just don't like the single digit game playing and still getting in and competing for a championship. I'm like you, whether they're making it or not, I still think they lose in the first round. They ain't making it out because they're Ohio State and they don't know how to make it past. And honestly, I don't know. They play Texas A&M in the first round. Ohio State doesn't show up in the.
They ain't beating Texas. Texas A&M ain't beating them, Colin. They're too damn good. They too damn dog. I don't know about that.
But how good do we know that they are? With 6 games. 6 games.
Well, here's the truth. How do you really know how good that any of these teams right now are? Because you got Indiana that's undefeated in the Big Ten. Now, if they beat, let's throw this out here, Colin. What if they beat Indiana that is 10-0? I mean, so I'm not going to punish Ohio State for going undefeated in what I believe to be the second best conference in college football and keeping them out of the playoff. And I mean, I just can't do it. I just can't do it, Colin. Well, Colin, listen, we got a guest coming up. We got Mr. Carter coming up, but I appreciate you calling in, man. And you know you're more than welcome to call in anytime, brother.
Anytime, buddy.
All right, thanks, man. All right, let's get to a couple of the comments before we get to Mr. Carter. Blaine Smith says, what's up, guys? What's up, Blaine? John says, but you can't deny Ohio State is a top 4 team. They got to be 6-0, 7-0. No, they're a top 4 team, guys. I'm sorry. Now, are they better than they were last year? As what's that song? Hell no. To the no. Hell to the no. They ain't as good as they were last year, y'all. It just ain't true. Kyle Mars says, long time no see, y'all. Screw Notre Dame. Okay, man, I say that Notre Dame's my number 2 team in the nation, and y'all trashing on Notre Dame. What's up with this? I'm going to get back to the Myles Brennan thing after we have our good friend, Mr. Carter, on here, because I really want to get to that. I mean, they got to do something, but Mr. Carter Bryant is going to be joining us. But before we get to him, guys, you got to go see our good friends over. Well, I was going to say at Area Home Lending, but my good friend, Mr. John Patton, over at Area Home Lending. Guys, with all the help from the Federal Reserve, it has pushed mortgage rates down to the lowest that they've ever been. If you're considering buying a new home, saving money on that mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. 225-663-2500. That's 225-663-2500. Tell them Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you. And also for all of your criminal needs, personal injury, criminal defense, real estate, and successions, there's no law firm that will be a better partner for you than the Drake Law Firm. Ernie Drake has been a lifelong friend of mine. Go see him today at 154 West Pine Street, Ponchatoula, Louisiana. Give him a call for a free consultation at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600. 985-386-7600. Tell him Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you. All right, we got our good friend, Mr. Carter Bryant. Carter, what's going on tonight, man?
Man, everything fun happens on Pine Street. I like that, man. I was my girlfriend had an optometry exam, and it was on a Pine Street. It's on every single Pine Street that I've ever been to. Legit. I was thinking about it. Like, one of the best comedy shows I've ever done was on Pine Street. I promise you, it's always Pine Street where all the good stuff. So if I need a lawyer, okay, going to Pine Street and seeing whoever that was just on your ad. I'm sorry, the law firm. But
yeah, that's Drake Law Firm right there. But yes, go see them.
Drake Law Firm. Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, Blake. It's funny though, because we don't always get too excited about Arkansas and LSU, right? If we actually do have a game. But it's interesting though, because we're talking about Pine Street and proximity and all of that. Mm-hmm. The game between Arkansas and LSU means so much different for people that live in North Louisiana and South Arkansas compared to what it means for people that live in South Louisiana. Because, obviously you're a Louisianian through and through. We always joke about this, that North Louisiana and South Louisiana are just two completely different continents. And it's interesting because you see so much Arkansas stuff in North Louisiana and in South Arkansas, where I grew up. You see so much LSU stuff. I mean, there's 3 season ticket holders that grew up in the small town in Arkansas that I grew up, including myself. So it's fascinating because this rivalry means a lot of people. It means a lot to a lot of people in this central Oreo part of the state, and that's what's really fascinating about it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you and you explained it fantastic. I'm putting this up there so people can see where they can follow you on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
At Carter, the Power on Twitter. Carter, that was what I was going to ask you and was really my first question. You dove into it. Because here, and I'm in the southeast part in Tangipahoa, Hammond area.
Right.
But it's usually if LSU ever plays Tulane or Southeastern or the smaller schools, it's always like, hey, man, y'all about to get clapped, but it's okay because daddy's going to show you who's boss. Is that the same for you, like in Arkansas, like you mentioned, that it's like more of it doesn't matter what the team's records are. It matters like who wins the game. To kind of have that, I don't want to say seniority, but that preface of just saying, hey, we're the best.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. And, a lot of people listen to your show. They're hardworking people. In this part of the states, North Louisiana and South Arkansas, so many people work together with a fan of the different school. It's crazy. So for those people, it's bragging rights when you go to work every day. And I went to LSU, and I covered Arkansas for a long time as well. And now I'm back covering LSU all the time with my YouTube channel. It's funny, though, because a lot of the same people cross over whenever they watch my stuff there. So it's very interesting when you're part or when you're from this area, because it is so much different than Northwest Arkansas, which, for those that don't know, it's very mountainous. Northwest Arkansas is a completely different. It looks like Colorado whenever you're driving into it from Louisiana. So it's interesting because South Arkansas and North Louisiana are more alike than North Louisiana and South Louisiana and South Arkansas and North Arkansas. So it's a really fascinating dynamic, and that's what I think makes this rivalry so much fun, outside of it not being competitive, but luckily enough for everyone on Saturday that it's going to be a competitive game.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is that, the next question too is, I remember a lot of great LSU Arkansas games.
Right.
Like I talked about it this morning on with Bill King on the radio, and people were asking me, hey, what's your favorite one? And I remember the Tyrann Mathieu punt return kind of started getting people to like, oh shit, like we got to give this guy a Heisman ballot. Like we got to put him on our Heisman. And then the Jarvis Landry one-hand catch in the back of the end zone. Like that was absolutely phenomenal. But Carter, for you, what was the best? Well, and I should say too, before I ask you this, the Darren McFadden running all over LSU in 2007 kind of broke my heart a little bit. But for you, what was your favorite LSU Arkansas game?
So it's funny, you mentioned the Jarvis Landry game. And it's funny because as LSU fans, we always had the debate, who's better, Jarvis or Odell? That game solidified that Jarvis Landry is a better wide receiver than Odell in college, because so many people talk about the Jarvis Landry one-handed catch, and it's probably the most ridiculous catch we've ever seen an LSU Tiger make. For those that haven't seen it, it's legit mind-blowing, and you have thousands of LSU fans that tune into your show every week, so everyone knows what I'm talking about. The craziest thing, though, about that game was Jarvis Landry also called the game-winning touchdown pass when Anthony Jennings had to drive the team down 98 yards because they didn't have Zach Mettenberger. Right. Jarvis Landry called some of the plays on that drive. So personally, as an LSU fan, knowing how much I love Jarvis Landry, and the backstory behind it, that's actually one of my favorite Arkansas LSU games. But obviously, the most memorable one is that 2007 triple overtime game, which is so wild because in your mind, you remember that Arkansas was like just dominant. You've never seen Craig Stelz look so out of position, and it was wild to even see it unfold. The craziest thing was in overtime, Arkansas completed a 4th and 10 to keep the game alive, and it didn't have anything to do with Darren McFadden. So,
right.
And about the Tyrann Mathieu game, Arkansas actually started that game up 14-0, and LSU scored 41 unanswered points. And during that decade of games, that was the only LSU and Arkansas matchup that wasn't decided by more than one possession. Each and every other game, I believe, during the decade was decided by eight points or less. And even the one there, it was weird, Blake, because Alabama was the number 1 team in the country, LSU was the number 2 team in the country, and Arkansas was the number 3 team in the country. And
right.
Wild, Blake, that all 3 of the best teams in college football were all in the same division, but Arkansas was the only one of those teams that wasn't an annual top 10 recruiter.
Well, what's interesting, and this is my story that happened in that 2007. So after the SEC championship game, Les actually made a trip to Franklinton, Louisiana, where I grew up.
Wow.
And he went on a recruiting visit to see Brandon Taylor and his brother Jiron.
Oh,
well,
cool.
I was really close with Jiron, and Jiron called me that morning. And I know my mom's in the stream, and she remembers it. And she can remember the day that Jiron called me. He was like, "Hey, bro, Myles is coming over to my house. Why don't you come over and meet him?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I get over there after church, and Coach Myles are on the visit. He's talking to him. And, they were kind of like, "Hey, really don't say anything to him. Just come and shake his hand, whatever." Well, before he left, me being a big LSU fan, I asked Les, I'm like, "Say, bro, are we going to the Natty or what?" In a form Les Myles, just so Les Myles. He looks back at me and he goes, "Son, we're going to win a national title." And I was like, and he gets in this blacked out SUV and they drive off. And so I'm texting everybody on my Razor flip phone. We're going to the Natty. We're going to the Natty. And they're like, "Oh, you're just crazy. We're not going." And man, when they said it, the BCS that we were playing Alabama, not Alabama, Ohio State. I was like, I told you. So that was like my claim to fame.
Good. Yeah, and that was so wild. That game was just so freaking wild. And that's so cool, Jiron and Brandon Taylor, both of them such underrated LSU players. It was weird. I think Brandon led the 2011 team in tackles or something like that. He was
wore number 18 and everything.
Wow, yeah, and it was weird. I knew Brandon in college. He was such an interesting guy. So, as we look at this game now, the funniest thing about it, Blake, is that this game has already made college football history because this is the biggest shift in point spread in the history of college football, where last year LSU was a 42-point favorite, and now Arkansas is a 1-point favorite. And this is the craziest thing. Blake Frederick Ruffino III of Nottingham. I know that's your official name. I'll let you know. This is the wildest thing about this game. Okay. Most of Arkansas's players from last year's game are playing in this year's game. So a lot of their talent outside of their new quarterback, Felipe Franks, are guys that once played in Tiger Stadium last year and watched their team get throttled. And something you also got to keep an eye out for the people watching from New Orleans, Joe Fuchsia for Arkansas has had a great year, and he was a 3-star defensive back just a few years ago. So it's very fascinating because Arkansas oftentimes, and this doesn't get talked about a lot, Arkansas oftentimes recruits the 3-star Louisiana kids that don't get LSU offers, as do a lot of schools, especially now that O is recruiting outside of the state. So it's a little extra motivation for the people in the Arkansas locker room that knows Joe. And obviously every high school Louisiana kid wants to go to LSU, and then you end up going to Arkansas. that game is always circled on their calendar.
Carter, you bring up an interesting point there about, and I talked about this last night, and I'm going to talk about it again here with you, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit and want your take on this LSU team this year. Last year, they weren't the hunted. They were the hunter. They were the people that were going out and trying to get the prey. They were trying to be the national title winners. They were trying to be the best team ever. Now they're the hunted. This Arkansas team comes in, and you bring up an interesting point. Is that edge that an Arkansas play with, is it as simple for this LSU team that has struggled that they just don't have that edge like an Arkansas, even though they do have a losing record, but they should be? In my opinion, they should have that winning record. Do you think it's just that simple?
Yeah. I mean, one thing, and I went deep into my LSU channel about this week, is, and trust me, I love Ed Orgeron. I'm an LSU fan. The difference in coaching staffs have been so drastic. LSU and their assistants haven't made the same type of adjustments that Arkansas and their assistants have this year. And outside of just getting blown out in the second half of the Georgia game, if you just sat down and watched Arkansas play a game, they get better throughout the course of a game. And that's the sign of a great coaching staff. Whereas for LSU, it's been a little bit different. I did some research, and in particular on the road, LSU's defense has struggled with communication, and that has turned out to be a problem. In 6 of the last 8 road games that LSU has played, they've given up 21 or more second half points. Now, if I would have told you, Blake, Frederick, Nottingham, a third, whatever I said, that LSU would have won a national championship last year, giving up all those points in the second half, you would have to think that there would be a Joe Burrow type of player. Lucky enough, LSU had it. Well, this year they don't have it. And it is important that you make those second half adjustments. And so far this year, trust me, you or I, Blake, we're not great football coaches. I hate to speak on your behalf, okay? I'm not a great football coach, but anyone could tell you during the Mississippi State game that you had to flip the coverage. Against Missouri, you had to change up what you were doing defensively, especially after Derek Stingley Jr. had the freak injury in that game. And against Auburn, the same thing. Gus Malzahn running the same pre-snap motion, running LSU ragged because they stayed in man coverage. I know I got a little technical, but it's simple stuff that you and I could see. And when you start seeing that and it not changing, that's the problem. And here's the scariest thing, Blake, as an LSU fan, is that of all the teams that LSU's played so far, they've not even played a top 5 SEC offense yet. Auburn at 6 is the toughest offense. So you still have Texas A&M, you still have Alabama, and I know those are different games for a different day. Arkansas is the weakest offense left on LSU's schedule. So there's no excuses going into this weekend. You had more time to prepare. Arkansas played a late game where they were ran ragged by Florida in the second half. You have got to come out and play better defensively. And if you don't, it is time for Ed Orgeron to hand over the play calling defensive duties to somebody else.
Carter, I mean, listen, it's tough to really push back on you on that. You know, Dave Aranda and that LSU defense gave up 17 in the first half to Clemson. And then after that, in the second half, after making adjustments, only give up 8. Then you go and win a national title. So giving up coming in and out of the half and making those adjustments were really that was like the pinnacle of Dave Aranda. Now, sometimes he wasn't able to do it really good, but he was able to make it, and the guys understood what he was trying to get across. What do you see in this game, Carter? Do you see a focused LSU team coming out? And do you think that LSU could and possibly and probably will win this game? Or do you give it over to Arkansas?
Well, LSU had time to prepare. And when you go back and you put on the Auburn tape, we put a lot on TJ Finley's plate. He honestly just made 2 really bad mistakes. Now, those 2 mistakes directly turned into 14 points, but he was moving the football. That's the kind of crazy thing. He was moving the football up and down the field. He had a bad roughing the passer call that did not go his way when he slid and got hit late. So now that he has time to prepare, it's going to be difficult because Arkansas's defense, they're really good at not giving up anything easy. They play a lot of 3-man rush, drop 8 guys back, and they have very experienced, smart, savvy guys. But I believe TJ Finley can move the football. I know there's not a lot of confidence in him going into this weekend. But once again, I tell everyone, sit down and watch the Auburn game. He was able to actually move the football some. The most important thing is don't make the back-breaking mistakes. That is what ultimately killed him in that game. So, yeah, I do think LSU can win this game. The thing, Blake, that I just don't want to see. And here's the thing. And, Blake, I'm sure you get these messages, too, when you're anytime semi-critical of LSU football. You always get these messages like, oh, my God, what did you expect after a national champion? Here's the thing. We're not asking LSU to come out and be the 79 Steelers. We're not. No one ever said that. What we want to see is discipline, smart, basic LSU defense, physical, fearless, knock them in the mouth defense. Because as critical as people were of Dave Aranda, efficiency-wise, on a per-play basis, his defense was actually as good as the 2018 defense. The only difference was Joe Burrow was so daggum good that LSU scored so fast, and the LSU defense had to play more plays. So I think LSU will be able to run the football some. I do think they will be able to slow things down just a little bit. And if they do, they will have an opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, I get the messages you do too, Carter, because look, I can be critical, and it's not that I'm just critical of like I want ill will or anything bad for the kids or coaches. But for an example, when I use him because I know he doesn't really care because he called him on his own self out. But against South Carolina, when Terrace Marshall catches those 2 slants from TJ Finley, takes one to the house, and then the following week against Auburn, he drops both of them. Those are those small things. And then when you have a small, young quarterback in TJ Finley, who I covered a lot in Ponchatoula, he feels like he's got to do more than what he actually was doing, and he got in trouble. And hopefully, the coaches sit him down and say, hey, look, you don't have to do that. Just get it to your athletes in space, and you don't have to do anything really special. Just do what Joe did. I mean, Joe would just throw it up to Jamar and say, hey, dog, go get it. So, but look, we do have a question here from our good friend, Mr. Stephen Miller. He says, #Ask Carter, do you think the mistakes TJ made versus Auburn was just a freshman trying to do too much and alluding to what we were talking about? That I'm with you in that, Carter, and that's what I've been saying too. I think it was just freshman mistakes. And you allude to that as well. That's what you think most of that was, because he did have a lot of plays to Jeray Jenkins across the middle and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I want to point this out, okay? You should watch a football game basic, right? You should always just watch a football game basic. Who scored the touchdown? What's the score? What's the feeling like? Because it's too hard as a diehard LSU fan like me and you, Blake, to just sit down and try and break down everything a football player should do. Like, we're not going to be able to watch Liam Shanahan do his normal assignment on every play. It's really tough. So what I often tell people, though, is like normally on YouTube, the whole game is uploaded. Somebody uploads the game. And whenever you actually watch the game, watch the other people on the field and try and guess if they're doing the right thing. And that's the crux of LSU's issues right now, is that the reason why everything looks so bad is that it's not only the mistakes are made to the play side, or it's not only a guy overthrowing a receiver or a quarterback getting sacked. It's different parts of the field where there's mental mistakes happening. And when those things happen, they begin to add up. Now, I will say this. I've spoken to a few former players, and you know one thing, Blake, I was shocked by this. A lot of them are really fed up. And I thought that they would be a little bit more lenient since they played for, and now that I know that you know a lot of people that have played, they don't like what they're seeing. And they all say the same thing to me. Hey, I'm starting to see a lot of give up. I'm starting to see a lot of lack of effort. I'm starting to see a lot of people that don't believe in the scheme. And here's the thing, Blake, do the small things right. And, we always say that, but we never provide specificity. Okay. A good example of this. So TJ Finley, we all remember the fumble sack that gave Auburn the 14-0 lead. We would like to forget it. So we put the blame on TJ Finley for that mistake. Well, the protection broke down. Cam Wire had his first bad pass set as a starter. Okay. He was going up against Big Cat Bryant, who's great. But the real mistake was made after the play where John Emery Jr. had an easy opportunity to just tackle him, and he just kind of brushed him with his shoulder. So that's a huge difference from the 2019 team. Now, they didn't have many fumbles or anything like that, but the 2019 team, when you watch them, everyone was doing their job. They were doing the small, little, smart things right. Even when Justin Jefferson didn't catch a pass, he would always trail and try and make a block. It's just all these little things that you see, and that is what former players tell me is their biggest issue. It's not, the mistakes, because you're going to blow coverages. That happens. It's all these little things, and what happens when you go on the road and you're all the way up in Fayetteville and you're having to wake up.
Cold as hell.
Yes. You're waking up at 11 a.m. And here's the thing. Fayetteville is an unbelievable town. I tell everyone to go visit.
Right.
But you wake up so early and the season's not going your way, and you become a little less motivated to do the little thing that you're supposed to do on a play. And just that little inch in the SEC where everybody's athletic, where every week now you're playing an SEC team, those mistakes begin to expand. And that's where we are right now with LSU football.
You nailed it on the head. Talking about Brandon Taylor, I know that I listened to an interview he did with Ben Love out in Lafayette, and he even brought up the game that I knew about, but he brought it up and told everybody about it against West Virginia when they were just getting obliterated. And he was saying, look, and he was just barking it out. Everybody, man on man, y'all get pressure. We're going to lock them down. They don't have that dog in them right now.
Right.
And so, like we do our stats and we have our guys that do our stats for AYS, 9 missed tackles at the line of scrimmage, Carter, against Auburn. You can't tell me that a lot of that is scheme either. That means that guys are in place to make plays. And that is a more the thing where, at least when I talk to players or former players, they're fed up by, right? Like if you got 4 guys around the ball carrier and Bo Nix and he stiff arms somebody and gets in the end zone, that shouldn't happen. Bo Nix is not Cam Newton. So, I'm with you there. And I agree. And I hear the same thing. Last question. I'll get you out of here, Carter. Your score prediction for Saturday. How do you see it going?
Ooh, that's tough, man. So obviously right now Arkansas is the slight favorite. And here's the thing, Blake. I'm going to side with Arkansas simply because of this. Like, until I see them make adjustments during the course of a game, I cannot say this enough, how different playing on the road is than compared to home, because communication is such a big issue when you're on the road, and press boxes are different, and things are just sped up and it's hostile. And I'm going to let people know that Arkansas fans are nuts. Okay. I've done Arkansas radio. I could break down the whole team, but I'm just going to let you know that there's going to be more fans in there than they're supposed to be allowed in there. I'm just going to let you know that. Until I see this team respond to something when it doesn't go their way, it's hard for me to pick them, even coming off this double bye week, even after Arkansas having such a tough game. So I will lean Arkansas, but LSU obviously has a very real opportunity, because if there is a game that they're going to win, if there's a game that they match up well with for the rest of their schedule, it is this one. So I'll lean Arkansas. I'll give you a score. Let's see. I haven't done my full prediction piece on my YouTube channel yet. Let's go 28-24 Razorbacks.
I'm not going to say that I like it because I want LSU to win.
I hate it too. I hate it. I don't want my friends to be hitting me up. Oh, look, you lost. The golden boot is on. Trust me, I'm here to give you my honest opinion, Blake Frederick III of Nottingham. And here's the thing, man. Blake, you've been pulling some Wojs, man, because I remember when I think it was Steven or someone that reached out to me and said and told me about you. And I was like, wait, are you serious sports? They've actually scooped. You've broken a few stories, man. Goodness. In the name of Walter Cronkite is going Blake with the Columbia shirt, the wannabe Greek body hair getting out of the top of his shirt right there.
Yeah, you see that, huh? That's the man hair.
That's the man. And Blake, it is his shack, whatever he has going, the wood grain shack. There's probably an axe and a dead body in the freezer over there.
Oh,
but
no.
Blake, I'm happy you asked me. I'm proud to see some other people get scoops outside of, the normal Bruce Feldmans out there. So congratulations. Keep up the good work, man, for real.
I appreciate that, Carter, and thank you for coming on. You've been absolutely fantastic. Tell everybody, I know that a lot of everybody knows where they can find all of your stuff, but tell everybody where they can find all the great things that you're doing as well.
Yeah, really quickly, Steven still owes me wings. So Steven Miller, I know you still owe me chicken wings. And here's the thing: it wasn't even a bet. Okay, it was not even a bet. He just said, next time you're in Baton Rouge, I'm going to take you to wings. And let me tell you what, Steven's tailgate is always great. It was crazy. There's some dude that cooked some of the best steak I've ever eaten in my life. And I was wow, that is the thing. So Steven, next time we're going to find a wing shack on a Pine Street somewhere.
That's right.
We're going to go to Pine Street and then go get go lawyer up after that. But no, my YouTube channel is Power Hour LSU. We dive deep. So obviously, we have fun, we laugh, whatever. I just like to dive deep on one subject every video. It could be recruiting. Just a few weeks ago, we did a breakdown on, to me, the greatest LSU Tiger of all time, Patrick Peterson. We looked back at his matchups against Julio Jones. You did a full film breakdown and compared it to Derek Stingley Jr. or whatever. So here's the thing, Blake. People that love LSU football like your stuff. I want people that are really into LSU football to come watch it. So thank you so much, man. That is so cool. The Brandon Taylor thing gave me chills. I really, really love that guy. He gave the best interviews when I was in college, when I was still doing the student media thing. So that's really cool. Shout out to BT and Jiren. That's cool. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on. Once again, it's Power Hour LSU, and they can go to my Twitter and see it, whatever. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
No problem, man. And thank you so much. And we'll have you on again soon. This is absolutely phenomenal, bud.
Yeah, man. I'll see you, bud.
All right, later. That is Mr. Carter. God, he was so good. Stephen Miller, you still owe my man wings. All right. I was going to get to the Myles Brennan thing, but I'm going to table that because that interview was just so good, and I didn't want to cut Carter off, and I wanted to continue to go on with him. But you know what? We'll table that until tomorrow, and I'll get into a Ruffino's rant about the Myles Brennan situation and what I think. But until then, all you crazy cat and kittens, my name's Blake Ruffino, and this is Are You Serious Sports? Y'all have a good night.